G'day folks, welcome to another episode of Stuff and Such. Today we're going to do a little quick product review. Hopefully it won't be too long, just kind of get into the meat and potatoes of it. Before we get too far in the video, get you subscribe for me and we'll get this channel growing. If you guys do much firewood and stuff, you've likely heard of pickaroons, hookaroons, and may have found that they're a little difficult to find quality ones anyways. So I'm going to do a little quick review here. On my left we have the new Forester 28-inch long handle, and here I have my old handy one, and it's probably about 26. So first thing I want to talk about is the handle. Handle seems pretty good. It's not nearly as refined as the old style. As you can see, the old style has a nice thick palm swell. The other one doesn't have any at all, hardly. Little one, but not really. And what that means is that if you don't have a good quality palm swell, something you can get your hand wrapped around and then use the butt of your handle as a stopper, it means you have to hold on to it tighter when you got weight and you're pulling. So in that aspect, it's kind of lacking. It is a nice, fairly beefy handle. About the same as my other old one. The old style, they come with they put a roll pin in them, and that way because a traditional axe, you're not really yanking and pulling and carrying on stuff like that. So that's a nice feature on that. Unfortunately, the Ace doesn't have it, but I'm not terribly sure how necessary it is. As you can also see, it's a lot longer, which in my opinion is a bit of a negative. Just because of leverage, when you got a chunk of wood like that, it's kind of nice to be able to just kind of quickly snap your wrist and pop it off. Whereas with a longer one, you have to use more wrist power. Another feature that I don't really know, maybe there's a reason for it, but you can easily see there's so much more hook on the tip there, and I really don't know. Perhaps some of you know what the reasoning is for that. It could be just very well that I don't have the correct application for this, but it's pretty easy to see. When you whack something, it just doesn't really bite. Because when you're swinging at the bottom near the floor, you're hitting blunt on the face, and that doesn't really... So, not saying that this is a bad one, but I think a quick angle grinder will straighten that out. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go reprofile the tip here real quick and give it the Stuff and Such treatment, make it more useful for me, and then we'll kind of get an idea what sort of steel's in this thing, if it can take the strain, if it's tough or just some soft junk metal. Alright, so we're back here. We just did a quick reprofile. So you kind of took that weird hook off there, shortened it up so they're about the same, which is kind of not really anything I tried for. It just happened to came to that length. Ideally, I'd have more underhook back in here, but it's unfortunately one of my nephews that's probably watching this video knows why it's a little bit shorter. But this one here, I'd like to get more undercut, but you got to be careful if the metal isn't any good quality. What will happen is it'll just fold over and snap off on you. So that's why I left it with a bit of backbone in it. So we'll give her a few swipes here with the on the wood here, and we'll see how she works. So that's how it's supposed to work. So I just we'll put the old familiar up. I'll have to forgive my hands. It's minus 20 out here. Wee bit nippy. Works pretty good, actually. could use a little more hook, because what you want is you want to go into the wood, and then you want to pivot into it a little bit, so then she kind of has a bit of a bite into the wood. You don't want to just stab in, you kind of want to stab and hook. And that way it'll get more of a bite, more purchase. Don't mind my ugly runners. It's just the old thing to do. So yeah, you just kind of, the nice thing about these things is you really save your back. You just take it, and what I like to do is when you get a heavy block, you put your foot under it and just give it a little kick, and then you can really launch them up without too much strain. So you can kind of see it needs just a little bit blunt. Ideally, you just want to tap into it and it's in. But overall, it's not that bad. You definitely have to put a little more oomph into it, but that could be just because it has a bit of a lighter head. I'll give you a little demonstration just how these things work to save your back. Let's say you got a few chunks of wood here and you're just wanting to pile them, so you just like that, give it a little kick over. So the tip isn't bad, it's a little blunt, but overall it doesn't seem to be folding over at the weakest point on the tip, which is good. So it's decent in that regard. So basically what I'm going to do in the future is I'm just going to hollow out right about here. Just kind of give it a little bit of a scoop, and that way you can really bite into your wood. So like as you saw there, you can just easily get wood up top. So in comparison, my old one here, yeah, there's definitely more weight in the head. So yeah, it just hangs on by just that little tiny tip. And that's only because the tip's just a little sharper. See? You can kind of see you hardly have to swing that one. This one you have to give a little more of a whack into it. Alright folks, we're going to wrap up this video. If you know why there's more hook on the pickaroons, and it's not just Forester, I've seen it with a bunch of different brands having the different more hook, and it's never really understood why it was working. Maybe it's if you're pulling slabs or something at hip level, you hit it at a different angle maybe, so you're hitting more up here where the hook's more down, and then you pull. I don't know, but for me, 5 minutes on a grinder to get it how I want. And it's not like I've never ground this one either. I had to reprofile it drastically. And if you see one of these heads sitting at a garage sale for cheap, buy them up. You can't really find them anymore. I did know the name of this one, and they've gone out of business, unfortunately. If you find one and it's dull, you can guarantee the person had no idea what they were doing with it. But if you find one that's sharp, then you can kind of tell that someone knew what they're doing with it. If you found this review kind of helpful making a decision whether to purchase one of these Forester pickaroons, hit me a like, and if you want to leave a comment, feel free. And I'll also link in the description where you can purchase them. They overall, I think I'll use it a bit. Anyways, we'll catch you in the next video, guys, and so long for now.